Okay, I think we're here. We're live. We're now. Let's take a look. Audio to me again. I am a mere plebeian when it comes to audio. To me, the audio is crisp. It is clear. It is neat. It is on point. Just closing a few things here. The whole gang is here. Whole gaggle of folks. I'm gonna take this off now so I can stop hearing myself. Hopefully you can hear me loud and clear. Let's take a look at some charts here, ladies and gentlemen. I think my camera, I was using it. Let's see if I can get it fixed in 2 seconds, maybe. No, camera's not gonna work. That's okay, we don't need a camera. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. We got Joey's here, Karen's here, all the fun people are here. We're simulcast on Twitter and YouTube. If you want me to look at anything, let me know. We'll go through some list of stuff here. All the fun stuff, all the hits. If it's too loud, no, I don't hear too loud from people. I hear not loud enough. So anyway, I think you can see me. I hope. Let me just double check. I always am paranoid. The preview is heavily delayed. Let me just double check. Okay, good. Perfect. All right, so we have moved up 10% on the BTC side, which is huge. It's Thursday, we're not selling off. That's a win. We'll take it. As far as expectations, if you look at, this is Kraken Desktop. Thanks, Futoshi, becoming a member. If you look at where we are, just in the grand scheme of things, this is obviously important for alts, but if you look at Bitcoin relative to legacy, specifically head to head, if we're looking at BTC, S&P, gold, and bonds, and I had to choose buy, sell, or hold any of those things, we'll take a look at legacy in a second, but BTC is in the buy category because it is above the daily cloud, not just because it's a 10% move. We had evidence for bottoming. We were talking about a diagonal. We were talking about 12-hour cloud. We were talking about low time frame, inverted head and shoulders a few times. That stuff has worked out. We've had some fundamental reasons from the tariff side why things have played out the way they have with some backtracking. So we'll take it. We'll take it. All that has been super helpful. We've also had evidence for decoupling on the legacy side versus Bitcoin. Bitcoin's gone the way of gold. Whether or not that's long term, I don't know. I don't care. The point is, you're getting a headline, you're getting people thinking about it, you're getting people taking crypto serious in a different way because it's not just beta to the SPY or the Qs. So that's huge. That's huge. So technicals here look great. They will get more bullish if we can hold these levels. If we can hold 87 to 90 over the next couple weeks into May, the cloud's going to flip bullish. We're going to get a bullish TK cross. All this stuff is going to start shifting higher. That's great. I'm not expecting that today, but in the next couple weeks, you're going to see, just as you did, if you're curious on what you want to see and how it looks, 2023, similar. When you go from bullish to bearish, you don't get all of the signals crossing on the same day. Some of these will lead the other signals. In this case, unusually so, we've gotten the bullish Kumo breakout ahead of the TK cross and the twist. The twist is usually last, and the cloud itself is usually last to move. The TK cross, you actually get typically before the move higher. So that just tells you how strong this move is. Because Bitcoin's been so bullish, alts have been crazy bullish. And this is what alts needed this entire time. They just needed a clear direction for Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin is clearly decently bullish, alts are bullish. If Bitcoin is ripping all-time highs, alts tend to lag because the focus is not something else. The focus is Bitcoin. Just as when Nvidia was ripping all-time highs, it's hard for Bitcoin to do well. When gold is ripping all-time highs, it's hard for Bitcoin to do well. So it's good to see gold pulling back. We'll take a look at that. It's good to see the dollar pulling back. We'll take a look at that. All this stuff is headed in the right direction from a crypto tailwind perspective. The worst of tariffs are probably behind us as far as the headline bombs. You know, it's like, oh, we're quadrupling the tariff on China. You know, I don't think we're going to see that again. So that's also helpful on the crypto side, just from a risk on, risk off discussion. Bitcoin obviously didn't do so hot when all the negative headlines were getting, were just streaming through. So this is good. This is all good for BTC. And ultimately, liquidity, so liquidity is driving gold. Dollar going down is driving liquidity. And we lag liquidity and gold. So again, it's just hard to be bullish looking at the technical setup, the macro setup. We've got a Fed meeting in a couple weeks. I don't think they're going to cut, but I do think they're going to talk about ending QE or some form of forward guidance minimally. I think Jay Powell's pretty fearful of getting ahead of any potential tariff inflation. So he's not going to make any hard commitments, but I think they might give a little bit more forward guidance than they have. We'll see. We'll see. Let me catch up with chat. Eddie's here. All the good people. Enjoy. Some Twitter folks. Best system. Yeah, it's the thing I get, you know, a lot of people are saying the cloud has helped them or whatever. Absolutely. The trend overlay is super helpful. The cloud being slow on purpose is super helpful. Some people absolutely cannot stand how slow the cloud is. But it really, over the long term, and you see this happening, you have to live it, right? Like you can say it does XYZ on backtesting, and obviously the cloud had a miserable time in 2024, but it will try to put you on the right side of the trade, no matter how noisy it is. So even if we fail here, it's trying to get you back in, right? That's what it's trying to do on the daily. And by the way, I talked about bonds, gold, and S&P relative to Bitcoin. But if we pull up something like ETH relative to Bitcoin, just on the cloud, on a relative basis, buy, sell, or hold, you're not buying this over something that is bullish on a trend metric. This, by the way, I haven't looked, but if we turn on so this is the 1050 moving average cross. For Bitcoin, it's been back tested. That's why I sent out this tweet a couple days ago. The backtesting on the 1050 cross has been very good historically. Is it perfect for Bitcoin? No, nothing is perfect. You can see here, it caught the bottom. You know, it tries to get you in at the right time at the very least. Is it going to be noisy in times of sideways volatility, whatever? Yes. But if we compare this to everything else in a vacuum right now, does anything else have a bullish 1050 cross on the daily? I don't know. ETH certainly doesn't. And it's way below the cloud. So just on a relative basis, it doesn't make sense to trade this stuff right now. It just doesn't. You can say that there's more upside here. You can say that it's sold off more. It's going to mean revert. Okay, fine, whatever. But it just doesn't make sense based on technicals. So if we're using a trend following system, the trend following system is firing, yes, this is bullish on Bitcoin, where it's not doing that for something like ETH. For something like Sol, it looks like it also has it crossed. Yeah, so we got a 1050 cross on Sol. So maybe it's more palatable for people to have the Sol ETH conversation. The 1050 cross for Sol occurred on the daily, what is that, April 18th? You know, again, ETH, if we're thinking about buy, sell, or hold, top 5 assets, top 10 assets, ETH is not in that conversation as a buy. It just isn't. Sol is out of this channel. It is starting to pull up. My fear for this is actually that it moves too fast for Sol. I bought some the other day. But I don't know if we're going to get this inverted head and shoulders thing for Sol on the daily. So back to the cloud being useful, I think it's helpful to have an overlay that you understand, that you can apply to anything, no matter what it is. We can look at Forex, we can look at commodities, whatever, it doesn't matter. And we can say, okay, what do we know about this overlay and this system that's going to be helpful here? That's one reason why I liked Curve early. I liked Curve before I liked BTC, because it just looked better, right? It just did. It still does. Well, not quite. Bitcoin actually does look better now, but from a tradable actionability perspective. So things that look like ETH, because I get a lot of people asking me, what about some random coin, right? It's less about the coin, more about how it looks to me on the technicals. If it looks like ETH, it is an avoid. It's just not for me. If you're being honest about technicals, this is not something you're going to want to trade. Just period. It's just not bullish yet. That doesn't mean it can't go to 4K. It just means now's not the time based on any system I care about. So that's always going to be the guiding principle. It's not going to be like, oh, I don't like this coin or that coin. No, I don't like ETH at all, but the technicals are also bearish. I mean, look how it's performing today. Just the tape. The tape is ETH is negative on the day, whereas everything else, almost everything else on my list is positive. And ETH hasn't even moved. Anyway, that's just an ETH problem. Let's go through the top 5 real quick. Ripple, I keep saying with Ripple, most of the move happened. Like, how much more move do you want? I don't doubt that Ripple has the potential to go to something like $5, but it's a timing problem. It's an opportunity cost problem. Is now the time? I don't know. Like, I don't think so. You could justify this low time frame stuff. You can say this is an inverted head and shoulders. I'm not going to say no on low time frames, but on high time frames, it looks like it's kind of in trouble. I don't ever like seeing bearish reversal patterns relative to the group. Again, like, it's not Ripple or nothing, right? It's Ripple or 10 million other things. Why this right now? I don't know. I don't doubt that this does well if Bitcoin does well. It just doesn't make sense to me right now. I like this better later on in Q2, just for more confirmation. If we're looking at Bitcoin low time frame, what we want is like a high and tight flag up here. We were kind of painting a couple things. We were painting a head and shoulders and an inverted head and shoulders, double top. This, we go like ultra low time frames, you ultra low time frame people. There was an attempt to pull this down, but so far so good. So anyway, Bitcoin looks fine. I think if it pulls back, it's a buy. It's a hold. Looks good here. I bought some MSTR a couple days ago. That's done well. Yeah, anyway. SWI's up, what is it, like 50% or something silly? It's up a lot in the past couple days. It's already, see, this is a problem for the daily because it didn't actually give you an entry unless you were down here like looking at some Adam and Eve thing. But the daily cloud never really gave you an opportunity to get in. Even the 12-hour was a little late. So like, yeah, some of the alts, it's going to be super slow and it's going to be too slow. And it's not always going to give you the best entry. Solana was similar in, what was that? 2023 or something? So what do you do with this here now? I don't think you do anything. Like this is a huge move. I don't doubt this is going to do well if Bitcoin does well, but I think it's going to need like 4 weeks to like calm down a little bit. Let this pattern out. I think longer term it'll be fine. It's just, what do you want to do today? I would rather, as people are asking me about like Popcat, I would rather trade Popcat or Pepe. These look like actionable trades today based on the daily, just because they're at the cloud. Now I don't doubt that Pepe is also going to retrace a little bit, and that's to be expected. But Popcat, for whatever reason, is holding in there. Yeah, curve to me still looks fine. We can take a look at hood. So again, it's less about this is the bonk chart, what do I think? It's more about what is the overlay telling me? The overlay is telling me SWE is, the move is over, okay. What is it telling me on BTC? We need to consolidate up here. Ripple needs to get back above the cloud. ETH is just a turbo avoid, makes no sense. Cardano is kind of in a similar camp where it's just in no man's land at the moment. Again, I don't doubt if Bitcoin does well, everything's going to do well. It's about actionability, confidence, entry, stop loss, that sort of thing. We're just not seeing it on a lot of this stuff yet. I would rather capture 80% of the move than guess. That's my thing. So some people are going to hate that. It's just my style. If anything, AVAX, of all coins, again, why? I have no idea. AVAX also setting up nicely here. From memory, this has lagged the rest of the market a little bit. So I keep saying this, but that's the dream. You get a series of trades. It's like we had curve, great, Bitcoin moved. Memes are starting to move. Tau was moving. You know, I wasn't trading that, but some people were. This would be another one to watch as a setup. It's got a W, it's got cloud stuff. Ideally, it comes down and gives you a better entry in like the 20s. And then 20 to 30, that's a great trade. 20 to 30, sure. So I like alerts in the cloud for AVAX. Ondo looks good too. It's pulled up finally. For weeks and weeks and weeks, every time we'd pull out these charts, it would be new lows, new lows, new lows, right? New lows. At any point you could have guessed and said, that's the bottom, and it wasn't. The difference now is we're starting to make higher highs. We're starting to turn trends bullish instead of bearish. We're flipping, if we draw like a channel here, you know, we're out of this channel. Great, great. That's what I want to see. If we compare all of these to, if we just pull up GLD, like, do I want to buy gold today? No, I don't. Does this look like the beginning or the end? If you had to choose one or the other, beginning or the end, based on the daily, I'm choosing the end. It doesn't need to go to zero. It doesn't need to go back to 2000. Okay, it's just, what do you want to do today from a relative value perspective? Just like we had gold breaking out, right? This is the potential, just like it was back here, and just like it is every time. It's always the same. This is always the gold standard for things you're looking for on the daily. So this is, what is this? It got like 30% above the cross. It just looks like it needs to settle down to me. So that's very helpful for crypto. But if you contrast that with where crypto is relative to gold, right? Gold is like done on its relative pendulum. Crypto is just starting. So I think that's super helpful as well for expectations. If we're level setting expectations, do I expect crypto to outperform here relative to gold? Absolutely. And we can take this a step further and we can look at the SPY, which is in this no man's land as well. Looks like it needs lots of time. It's just not ready. That's not a statement on tariffs or Trump or global whatever. It's literally just the overlay. That's all I'm looking at. So it needs more time. It needs more time. But that's bullish for BTC because BTC looks much, much more bullish than Legacy does. Anyway. Kijun talk. Oops. We can look at what else we want to look at. We can just go down the list. So really it's, where does this sit relative to the cloud? That's really all I care about. Tau, you're a little late. Similar to SWE. Curve, you're a little late. Link, I was getting questions about. Link looks better than ETH. ideally, I'm always looking for, on something like this, like a right shoulder into the cloud. It doesn't mean you can't buy it here and it works out. No, but I'm looking for a little bit better conditions there. But yeah, it looks okay. Bullish TK cross price in the cloud is edge to edge setup entry criteria, so we're not quite there yet on that one. Caspa, for whatever reason, similar to STX, I think because it's Bitcoin beta, 2x Bitcoin, it looks good. It looks good on trend. It looks good on the 12-hour. It looks good on the daily. Looks good. Aave looks better than ETH, certainly. Not much better, but better. So again, like, what is the tier list here mentally? Do you care about DeFi? Do you care about ETH assets? I don't know. I don't really care about DeFi or ETH, but this is not telling me jump in with both feet. Not yet. Dot, similar. Probably needs a little bit more time. You know, Dot versus AVAX. I like AVAX. LTC versus Dot. Probably Dot. You know, that's kind of where I'm stacking them up in my head. FET, as someone's asking in the chat, this one's starting to get a bullish TK cross with price and cloud. So yeah, looks good, right? And now it just becomes like, which one do you like more? Do you like Render more? Do you like FET more? Tau? It's up to you. They're all kind of in the same sector. STX looks good for continuation as well. You can see this huge diagonal trend line that it's done with. So this is all good across the board. Yeah, SWE looks good. I talked about that. It's not going to move 30% every week. So yeah. What is your viewpoint here? What is your long-term viewpoint on SWE versus Sol, SWE versus ETH? I think if I polled the chat, everybody would say SWE is going to outperform ETH. I don't think they're wrong. Is it an entry today? I think it's going to need some time to quiet down a little bit, but it looks good. Trump, I just wouldn't trade ever for any reason. It's very, very manipulated. Now, you could use technical analysis principles, and you'd do very well for an asset like this. On the 4-hour, it actually wasn't bullish on the 4-hour until before the stupid announcement about being a top 220 holder or whatever. So yeah, you can trade it with TA. I wouldn't trade it at all. I just wouldn't trade it. What happens when, what happens during the dinner or after the dinner for this? Do people just sell it? I don't know. It's not for me. Clean audio, that's what I like to hear. So the takeaway here is, if you're trading alts, don't put yourself in a box and think, because I'm a Polkadot fanatic, I have to trade this right now. You know, I think there's stuff out there. There's other things to do. The CEP, I don't really know where that fits. I know it's an MSTR competitor, I guess. I don't know. Stuff like that, just not for me. I need to see a couple of years of trading history to care about that one. Give me some data first. Just reading chat. When do tariffs start? I thought they were paused for 90 days, right? So June, July-ish. Should you become a top 25 Trump holder in shill fart coin? I don't think so. Yeah, what do I even say about Fartcoin? Like, it looks fine, but that's not really the question. The question is, if I'm holding it, where do I sell? If I'm not holding it, do I want to buy some? As a percentage of total assets that I want to trade ever, is this in the list? You know, I don't know. For me, it's just an avoid. I like to observe it to see sentiment. For whatever reason, it was at the top of the volume here on Kraken. and still is outside of Trump. So it's super helpful to see that. But it's just not for me. This can go to infinity without me. It looks great though on trend. It's undeniable. It broke out. It's still in the markup phase. It looks good. The issue now is that it's moved up so much on a relative basis compared to other stuff. I think it probably does less good than the meme coins on the list, I'd imagine. I can't imagine it just keeps outperforming. People keep bringing up Richard Hart. I wouldn't touch any product with his name on it. That's just me. That's all I need to say. Whiff. ZRO. Is ZRO crypto? Let's take a look. Yeah. I forget what this is. I don't actually remember. You're right. It looks really good. Here's why I like this. Again, I don't know anything about the project, but I like that it has the triple bottom, inverted head and shoulders fractal. I like that fractal is multiple months. I like that it's literally at the bottom of the cloud. I like the cloud denied it for weeks. Yeah, this. Yeah, I have no idea what this is. I can't remember, but purely based on the overlay, this thing looks very, very good. So the expectation would be up here, edge to edge type thing, layer 0. Okay. For some reason, I was thinking about the OTC exchange or whatever it is from. I'm blanking. It's something like ZRO. Anyway, this looks really good. Thank you for bringing that one up in the chat. Strife and Stark, or the MSTR stuff, again, that's like way out of my wheelhouse of understanding what to do there. We can say XYZ has performed based on some historical backtesting. I just don't know what I don't know when I'm investing in stuff like that, so it's just not for me. Yeah, we can take a look at coin. The issue with coin is the same issue with total 2. Like, if you're bearish on Bitcoin dominance, you love coin. Because the real chart you need to look at is like coin against, if we do coin against BTC, what does that look like? This is basically ETH, right? So if you liked it up here, do you love it down here? Probably. Maybe there's a double bottom down here. Maybe Adam and Eve. I don't know. But it's not trending bullish yet. It's trying to turn a corner. And I think that's what Total 2 would tell you similar. Another easy one is like Sol against MSTR. Sol against MSTR, similar. It's not trending bullish. It's basically been down only. What this pair really is 2x BTC against 2x BTC. That's what it really is. But this has been down only. So this favors MSTR. If this flips, then I like coin. I like other stuff. I'll set an alert for myself. But this still, it's favorable towards MSTR. So it's not really like, what is coin in a vacuum, right? Like, we can look at that and we can make a decision, but that's not the real question. The real question is, what is the relative value? Like, okay, you're bullish alts, you think people are going to come back to trading, retail. Like, you can form a thesis around why this is a bottom for coin. I don't hate that as an idea, but like, what is your entry relative to everything else here? This would look better to me if we get a right shoulder. And I keep saying that with alts too, right? Like, I don't know if we're going to see the right shoulder, but if we do, then there's something I can trade with higher confidence. So we're not quite there yet on coin. And they were asking about coin L as well. Like, we can look at this on the 4 hour. On the 4 hour, it looks excellent. Like you could trade this 18 to 28. I don't hate that. It's a setup, right? But is that better than BITU on the 4 hour? BITU is further along. I'll give you that. So you're a bit late. So maybe as a catch-up trade, I guess that's the idea here on 2x coin. I don't hate it. You know, it's like a timing question. Today versus tomorrow. I don't know. You have to make that decision yourself. It looks okay in a vacuum. In the grand scheme of things, I think there's better things to trade. Sorry, there was a giant list. Hood. So I can look at Hood. The issue with Hood, again, is like Fartcoin. It has done very well in 2024. It doesn't mean it can't keep doing well. It's trying to negate any bearishness that I had about a Head and Shoulders here. It's kind of like an expectation question. Do we expect this to do well in the rest of the year? Maybe. Do we expect it to do better than BTC? I mean, maybe there's a little bit of an inverted Head and Shoulders situation there that you can monitor and say, okay, here's my, let's see if that works. I doubt it. I have to add some integers, add some decimals. Let's do 4 decimals. It's kind of a relative value question versus, do you want to just trade this to trade it? I don't know. Like you have to figure that out yourself, I think. Why did it not? Whatever. But yeah, I would measure everything against Bitcoin first, and if you're trading leverage, like what does Con L against MSTR look like? Has this bottomed? Maybe. You know, it's pretty oversold. It's very bearish. It's not giving you a bullish signal on the daily. The 4 hour, it looks interesting. But this is how I would start thinking about things, because there's lots of different ways to express an idea about being bullish alts. I would be careful with like paralysis analysis. You don't want to look at 10,000 things and then not make a decision, but have your own little benchmark, guidepost, whatever. This looks decent against MSTR. It's not quite there yet, but it's getting there. What were some of the other legacy names? Somebody wanted me to look at Algo as well. I can take a look at that. Yeah, I mean, it's trying to get there. I keep saying this with everything, but if I wasn't in this stuff, which I'm not in Algo, and I was looking for the next signal, I would want to see something like this to get a better entry. It just feels like here you're kind of guessing. Now it can keep going, right? Nothing says it has to stop here, but for a specific entry, this is what I'd be looking for. A pullback into the cloud and then edge to edge to 32 cents. Pendulum, sure. Yeah, it looks okay. Maybe a little inverted Head and Shoulders action. There's a lot of stuff that looks like this. What I would do is, instead of saying like, does this coin look good? Look at total 2 on the daily. This is the alt index, or total 3. You know, if you're like, well, why is ETH even in the conversation? Let's look at total 3. This is your index, your benchmark. If it looks worse than total 3, it's not for me. If it looks better than total 3, I love it. Here's Sol. New right scale. Is that going to show up? There we go. So does it look better or worse than the benchmark is the question, right? If I had to trade alts right now. Pendulum looks a little bit better. Zero, again, I don't know. I haven't heard anybody talk about it. So there's clearly, I don't see any, I don't see like a bunch of influencers talking about this chart or this coin. So I don't know. This is like probably the gold standard of something right now, today, at this moment, that looks really good from a cloud setup perspective. Wall is in Walmart. CRO. They actually have CRO on Kraken, which is kind of surprising. I don't know. I don't really see anything here from a technical perspective, honestly. Mog. Yeah, you got your triple bottom, inverted head and shoulders. Anytime. So this is basically the Pepe chart, right? Up here you had triple top. Down here you have triple bottom. Is it going to be in a textbook showing how great of an example this chart pattern is? No, but to me it's good enough. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good enough. It's also out of this parallel down channel. It was down a lot over several months, so I like it better here than I did at any point on the way down. Yeah. Is this, what even is this? Is it a meme coin? I don't even know. Is Brett? I don't think Brett. They have a futures perpetual on here. Okay. Losing my voice. Yeah, you're a little late on Brett just because it is already in the cloud, but we've kind of been over several examples that look like this from a cloud perspective. Again, like, what is my, just to help understand my mental benchmark is like, if it looks like ETH, it's a definite hell no. And if it looks like Brett or STX or Zero, that's where I want to live if I'm making a decision. So yeah, it looks better than a lot of stuff. It's like you're a little late here, but it looks good. You had your double bottom, triple bottom stuff. You're out of any channels. It's down. Again, this is like the Pepe chart. I think if I would have had to choose for the textbook, if they called me, and Penguin called me and said, hey, which example do you want in your textbook about chart patterns? It would be the Pepe chart. Not these others, but it doesn't mean those others aren't just as tradable, for sure. Mog is a meme coin. TRUF? What is that? I don't know what that is. Oh, the Truflation token. Oh. Oh. So I love the Truflation metric. These guys tried to get me in on the, I don't know what it was, advisor version. Is this what I'm looking at? I don't even know if this is the right token. Is it TrueFi or Truflation? Whatever. Yeah, it looks okay. It's getting there. You got a little bit of a triple bottom thing. You got a huge diagonal you're working out of. You're getting in the cloud. You got a bullish ticket across. It looks good. This is TrueFi. I don't know if that's what you asked me for, but yeah, sure. I like it. I like it. Super. I don't think that one was on. Oh, it is on Kraken. Yeah. Again, like it's. I don't care what the coin is. That isn't the point. The point is if we use the right cloud. Another great example. Bullish TK cross. Prices closing in the cloud. Thick cloud. This is what this is drawing out. What it's telling you, the cloud is telling you, is this is the mean reversion potential. These levels here, where 50% retracement levels on the way down. That's why if we go to like the Bitcoin chart, if you remember, for those of you who are around, back here in 2023, when I was talking about a bullish edge-to-edge move, it's the same concept, just on a higher time frame. This is the mean reversion setup of the bear market, right? It's some 50% level at some point. That's what it's drawing somewhere. That's why those levels tend to be super strong. Just change this back to, okay. No, it wasn't 0x. What is that exchange? It's gonna bug me. Anyway, whatever. All right, Walmart, Western Alliance Bank. Just kidding. We're all over the place today. Yikes. You're probably trading this on low time frames if I had to guess. I don't know. Regional banks are not for me. This chart looks abysmal. It kind of looks like NVIDIA, sadly. Someone asked for that one. All this stuff, if it's below the cloud, like ETH, and just in no man's land, it's just not for me. NVIDIA did best when it was above the cloud. You have to have the intestinal fortitude to do nothing when it looks like this, stay out, and then get back in when the trend metrics are bullish again. So yeah, this could be the bottom, I don't know, but the system is saying no, give it time. And it's the same thing with a lot of this stuff. Microsoft, it all looks the same. Amazon. Yeah, like it could be bottoming. It could be. It just feels early to make that call. In 2022, you had a few false starts. You had a huge diagonal to watch that a lot of people were talking about. We were the narrative at that time was, do we watch the diagonal on linear or log? And there was a ton of debate about whether or not we broke this diag a couple times, but definitely did down here, undeniably. So like if you have to guess, if I have to say, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like it's time. It could be bottoming. I have zero confidence though. Zero confidence in that. This one? Oh, Sonic? Sonic. Not really enough history for me to analyze on that one. Give me another 2 years and then we'll come back to it. XYO? I do not know this one. Yeah, like it is, this is like the curve pre-breakout chart. Similar inverted head and shoulder type bottom. It's down, was down 84%. Is this going to outperform anything? I have no idea. Is this going to eat your face off on the downside? I have no idea. But I like it down here better than I did at any point along the way, for sure. That's why I keep saying on a lot of these alts, I want to see this right shoulder. So we're getting there on whatever the hell this is. XYO, no idea. KTOS. Is that an all-time high? It is an all-time high, I think. No, just kidding. Doesn't look bearish. Doesn't look bearish. I don't hate it. Little cup and handle action. Looks better than crypto. Kind of reminds me of utilities a little bit. XLU still chilling up there. I still don't hate XLU. I think it still looks okay. I like that it's taken 6-8 months to just sit here. So I still like XLU. Don't hate it. Mog is a degen meme. ERG? Man, I must be... You know I'm an old man when I don't know 50% of the tickers that people ask me about. Yeah, same story. When you look at like 50 of these charts, you get a sense for where the market is generally. Again, like this relative to ETH is just looks horrific. There are a lot of the charts that we looked at today that have this triple bottom fractal. It looks okay. You know, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I would have higher conviction in other stuff, but it looks plenty fine. Plenty fine. Goog, not good. Goog, same deal. Needs tons and tons of time. Just look at the Mag 7 ETF mags. This thing needs probably like 2 to 4 months. But I'm not trying to pick a bottom. I'm trying to sit in a trend. So if you're trying to pick a bottom, maybe it's a different story. That doesn't mean this hasn't bottomed because I don't like it, but I just think it needs more time. I think what's happening is people have seen Mag 7 stuff just continuously go higher, and so now they're like, they have to buy it because it's down, right? This ETF was down. Come on, TradingView. This ETF was down over 30%. It's still down 23% from highs. So just based on that alone, on a relative basis, yeah, like I don't hate it as like a dollar cost average, but trend metrics are not going to be on your side here for that one. Bro, Sonic is Phantom. Man, I can't keep up with all this stuff. I don't know. I'm a Bitcoiner, bro. What do I know about this stuff? This one just kind of in no man's land. Yeah, more people talking about the earnings report for coin. I don't know, maybe. I've never really traded around earnings reports. So I don't really have any thoughts there. AI16Z. Sure. Oh, this one's on Kraken. Let's take a look. Let's AI16Z. They've even got a 20x perpetual. And what am I going to say about this one? It looks fine. It's the most bullish it's looked since it listed. Yeah. Honestly, the difficult question is sizing and total portfolio percentage or total, like a lot of this stuff looks decently good enough for an entry. The sizing comes in with the conviction question. So like I know a lot of people in retail, they'll just go full portfolio, anything. They don't really care, right? I think I would be on the side of spreading stuff out a little bit more than that. But yeah, this doesn't look horrible. I don't know anything about it. Doesn't look horrible. Ondo. Yeah, we talked about Ondo. It looks okay. If I keep going, it has that inverted head and shoulders, triple bottom stuff. It's trying. It's trying. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. What would you do on charts that have completed the edge to edge? So SWI, to me, there's not an entry here. At this point, this system on the daily has missed the entry. It has told you the exit the entire time, but you either sell or do nothing. Like if we're trying to make a list of pre-breakout or post-breakout, this is in the post-breakout category for crypto. It's not like gold where we're up 30% in a week or something. I still like this long term, but if I had to choose right now between an entry on this versus something that looks like Pepe or Popcat or what was it, Turbo or Zero, I'd prefer those other ones to Sui at the moment. Yeah, Dot, that's where people kind of get into a trap where they're like, Dot's going to perform. I say this because I see this with ETH. People keep saying this. It's going to be a hated rally. It's going to go to the moon, bro. There's so many other charts that look better. Even AVAX looks better than ETH right now. Like, relative to ETH, this looks phenomenal. Would Sol be post-breakout? Not quite, because it hasn't closed in the cloud yet, and it hasn't reached the target, which would be like 200. We'll just call it even 200. I would love it. Again, I would love it if Sol slowed down enough for a right shoulder with something down here. I mean, we're kind of splitting hairs on entry. If you're not trading on leverage, what do you really care about 145 versus 150 on Solana? But this, again, goes back to like sizing. Maybe you buy a little here and buy a little later, right? Maybe you buy a little here, and if it keeps going, you don't keep buying. You just do nothing and you hold it till 200. I don't know. But it's still on its way. It hasn't hit its target yet. ENA tends to do better when funding is higher. ENA. Yeah, I mean, it's got a double bottom. It's down a lot over the past 6 months, 5 months, whatever that is. Based on what I've seen and what I know from the cloud, my comfortability level with conviction, aka sizing, is here. So I would love it. Again, like it doesn't matter what the asset is. If ENA at any point looks like the ZRO chart, then I like it a lot more. I have no idea if this is going to play out to whatever level this is, 450. It gives me conviction that it's closer to the cloud. But this is a massive edge to edge on ENA. I don't think you can do this on Kraken, but on TradingView, you can pull, I've done this before, you can pull a list of all the cloud levels for all the tokens. Maybe I'll do this for Sunday. I got to remind myself for Setup Sunday to make a massive screener and say, okay, like if we're trying to make a system of what has the most upside potential, this has to be at the top of the list as far as percentage wise. That's a 100% move, right? That's a 2x from here. If that plays out, which is a big question mark, but it does have a history of crazy moves. From what I'm seeing now, I think funding is still negative. So that just means when funding flips positive, like this thing's going to go nuts. Definitely want to think about. I'll make a screener for Sunday. The good people at TradingView, they didn't ask me, they didn't tell me, but they put on the screener, there's a cloud button for crypto settings for cloud. That's when you know. That's when you know you've made it, you know? All right. A few more, then we'll get out of here. Ray. Yeah, I don't hate it. The cloud, again, like it went straight down and straight up. So the cloud's gonna have a hard time on the daily with that. It's just too fast. So it's tough, you know, like do you look at this on the 12-hour versus the daily? Do you look at it on the 4-hour versus the daily? It looks fine. I don't have any issues with it. If Solana's bullish, this thing's going to be very bullish. I saw HNT today. This is probably another example of a setup where it's sat in the cloud for a little while. it wouldn't surprise me if this reaches for 6. Now, is that like the best risk reward relative to everything that we've talked about today? I don't know, but I like the setup. Yeah, Chuck Norris. I'll make a Google sheet and I'll share it in the video come Sunday. Can I share my desktop board for Kraken? I can. There's a way to share this somewhere. Board. We did this last stream. It's going to be a massive that might work. I don't know. I don't know. It's like 1,000 characters long, if not more. What happens when you complete edge to edge? Yeah, you don't, like SWE, if you've got conviction that it's going to be bullish going forward, you hold it. But just like Bitcoin, the expectation isn't that it just keeps going. It sort of completed the move. If we're talking about Bitcoin relative to alts on the edge to edge cloud move, Bitcoin's kind of completed its move, whereas some of the alts have not even started their move. Any other, I'm sure there's some that I missed here in chat, but any other tickers to talk about here? We're watching equities or Reddit. Yeah, so Palantir was another one. It's kind of like in the hood universe. This is what you'd want to see with Ripple, by the way. So Palantir had this, head and shoulders, out of the cloud. It has pulled up completely. Back above the cloud. You're going to get a bullish TK cross. You're going to get a bullish cloud there. So it's tough because this is up plus infinity last year. 300% or something stupid. So you've got to keep that in mind, and maybe that means sizing comes down, but the cloud really likes this chart. Regardless of PE or anything else, hood is the same. It's getting there. So the question was Reddit. What does Reddit look like? Okay, maybe it's not as bullish as I thought. Here, the way I read that question was Reddit was higher in the cloud, but if you're trading something like Reddit, then you're saying that there's a massive TKC clamp here. Basically, it sold off so quickly that the mean reversion is 155. Yeah, I guess, you could watch it on the 4-hour, similar to alts, wait for the trigger. That's where I would have most conviction. But yeah, it depends on what are you more comfortable with. For the stop loss and all this stuff, for Reddit, it would be here, but you'd want to wait till we get in the cloud. Then your stop loss would be up here. Bonk. Yeah. Anything in the Memecoin sector probably looks great right now. I don't know which one is going to outperform the other. I would avoid Trump. I would avoid Fartcoin just because it's up infinity. The risk reward is probably better for Popcat, Pepe, Whiff, Bonk. Shib looks okay. Floki looks okay. Again, what do I want to see? I want to see this. This would be beautiful. So if we get a week of pullback at the neckline here, then we're talking about textbook. Then when Penguin calls me, I can say, yeah, this one right here. This one on the Floki chart right here. How much of your portfolio are you willing to risk on a trade? If it's Bitcoin, 100%. I have no qualms about that. Alts, significantly less than 100%. But that's a personal question, right? It depends on your own risk appetite. Crowd. Yeah, CrowdStrike. It's you know, the cloud is giving you its blessing. Again, it looks good. 2+2 poker forum. Can you please tell me? I don't know what that is. Can you please tell what the wicks? Do we include wicks on the daily? So what I do is, it depends. If this is the daily BTC, you can either do, you can do a couple things. You can just ignore the wicks. You can turn on line mode. That cuts the wicks off. That saves you the trouble of even thinking about the wicks, okay? So let's say we were measuring that. That gives you that level. Now let's take the wicks, add those on. And now what we can do is say, this is our range 1, this is our range 2. And if I was setting orders today for asks, I would concentrate the orders here, and maybe a little less here and a little less here. That's one way to do it. If you don't want to exclude anything and you want like some high confidence interval, that's one way to do it. But it's totally up to you. Yeah, Tau we talked about. I think it again, this is on a relative basis, not just Tau in a vacuum. I think other stuff is going to do better sooner. That isn't to say that Tau can't do well, just like SWI. You know, what are the odds that SWI has another plus 50% week? I'm going to say lower than anything else, right? All right, last one, CVX. Yeah, bullish. Breakout into the cloud, triple bottom here. Right, you're getting this. I love everything about it. You got triple bottom, edge to edge cloud thing. It's down like 60-70%. It's held flat for months. Love it. I think that's all I got for this one. Thanks for hanging out. Losing my voice. Give me a like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. We'll see you for Setup Sunday. I'll come with a screener prepared, looking for the biggest risk reward entries on the cloud. If I had to guess, ENA would be like top 5. Has to be, percentage wise.